What's up and welcome to FPL Today. I'm JNO, welcome to the channel and welcome to another FPL player analysis here on Alvaro Morata. But before we get into this video, if you love FPL and everything to do with football, make sure to consider subscribing to this channel where we are currently doing 30 days of FPL. We should be on day 17 today, which is incredible. The support has been great. Why not join the FPL family and subscribe? But back to business. Chelsea have purchased one of the most wanted strikers in the game at the moment in Alvaro Morata, purely because he's a fringe player at Real Madrid but has shown potential of a player that could be a world beater and a prolific goal scorer. And the fact of the matter is, Diego Costa seems like he's on his way out. He's had disagreements with Antonio Conte, and it seemed like Chelsea had to do a big bit of business to get Antonio Conte back on board, as he feels like he hasn't been getting the support he should be getting. So this is a huge bit of business for Chelsea as a club. Is it the best move for them as a club though, or as a starting 11 for a striker to lead the line? Now, Alvaro Morata, from what I've read, shows some similar attributes to Diego Costa. However, I believe personally Diego Costa was very well suited to the Premier League game. Will Alvaro Morata be the same? So far, his experience has been in the Serie A for Juventus under Antonio Conte, which could be a good omen because he has played under this manager before, and at Real Madrid. And while he has impressed, has he really been the type of player that you can back your whole season on being a prolific goal scorer? Now, me personally, I've always had the approach that if you can avoid it, don't bring in new players to the Premier League at the beginning because they may not settle in that well. Eventually, some of these players could be amazing, and sometimes you get someone like Dimitri Payet who comes in and just does well straight off the bat. It is possible that Alvaro Morata and others like him, like Mohamed Salah and Alexandre Lacazette, they could come in and hit the ground running. I'm not saying it's impossible, but is it worth taking the risk when you have players in the league like Lukaku, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, Gabriel Jesus, and many more that we know can do the job in the Premier League? But of course, we are going to cover his strengths, his weaknesses, his style of play, and the last 3 seasons he has played professional football to see if we can pick out the new players to the league in player analysis that will do really well this Fantasy Premier League season. The strengths that Alvaro Morata has shown at Real Madrid and Serie A for Juventus are long shots, key passing and dribbling. His weakness, and this seems to be a very common weakness on Who Scored, so I think sometimes they just put it there because they want to put something there, is discipline. Now, if that is actually the case, that kind of might give him the same mentality as Diego Costa, which could be a benefit in the Premier League because we've seen players like him do well in the Premier League before. His style of play, he likes to counter-attack. He gets fouled often, which means he could get assist points if someone puts away a penalty or a free kick. He dribbles a lot and he commits fouls often himself, which could bring about yellow cards, which does deduct points in the Fantasy Premier League game, and could see him suspended, which of course will mean you have to reshuffle your side for a game week. If we have a look at how he did in the 2016-2017 season, which we did discuss yesterday on FPL Transfer Window, we can see in 14 whole appearances he got 15 goals and 4 assists. He was involved in 19 goals in 14 games, which is a great return. That is probably why his transfer value was so high now that Chelsea have bought him. Shots per game was at 2.1 and key passes was at 0.7. Man of the match awards only got 1, but his average rating was at 7.17. Now, all that looks good, and I'll be honest, that excites me as a Fantasy Premier League manager seeing those stats. It's the stats that come before it that don't have me as excited, and it's the fact that I don't think he's ever had a full season as the #1 striker for 30 plus games. And we all know how packed the Premier League schedule can get, so this may mean there's rotation between Morata and Batshuayi. In the 2015-2016 season, when he played for Juventus, he had 16 appearances and got 7 goals and 7 assists. Not as good a return as his time at Real Madrid, but still 14 goals he was involved in 16 full appearances. Shots per game was still at 2.1. He got key passes of 0.8, slightly up on the season before, a man on the match award once, and an average rating of 6.76, which isn't as good as the season just gone, and that was in an Antonio Conte side. That could mean absolutely nothing. He could have grown as a player, but ideally I'd like to see a couple of seasons of good form to really be backing someone. That being said, that's nothing to laugh at. 14 goals out of around 15 games is definitely a decent return. And then the season before, also at Juventus, he played 11 games and got 8 goals and 5 assists, so that's 13 goals he was involved in 11 full-on appearances. Shots per game was at 1.8, not as good as previous seasons. Key passes was back down to 0.7, 2 Man of the Match awards, but an average rating of 6.74. So I think, although it is very exciting seeing a player go for this amount of money to the Premier League champions, I feel like we need to be wary of Alvaro Morata. I feel like the Serie A and the Spanish League are very different creatures than the Premier League is. Doesn't mean he's going to translate these stats over. Someone like Zlatan last year, I kind of looked at and went, well, he just scores everywhere. All we know is he can get the job done in Serie A and he can get the job done in the Liga BBVA. But is he as prolific as Harry Kane? Is he as prolific as Sergio Aguero? Is he as prolific as Romelu Lukaku? If we're going to be spending the big bucks, is it worth taking the risk on a player that could be a flop? He may prove me wrong, but all I'm saying is it worth taking the risk early days when you could get a more expensive striker and you can quite easily downgrade to Alvaro Morata. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this FPL player analysis. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and that notification bell if you want to be told when an FPL Today video goes up. Also check out the links in the description if you want to support the channel. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.